Hello, and thank you for joining me here today. And I've got a whole bunch of really good speakers in front of me and after me. I'm indeed honored to be with all of you here today with Prakeso to bring you jumpstarting your journey in the informal economy during the International Public Employment Services Symposium. Right. So again, thank you to Prakeso for having me. I'm just going to go straight into it, given that I've got 20 minutes to share with you some of the global trends around freelancing and the gig or informal economy, right? So globally, by 2025, you can see that freelancing or gig will be the new form of employment, making up 20% of the global workforce. This economy is going to be worth 2.7 trillion USD. Just going to run through very quickly some of the numbers that we have here. If you look at the US, you look at the economy in 2017, it stands at 1.4 trillion, China 2.9 trillion, and in the EU, 2016 is 27 billion. So if you think about this, freelancing and gig will make up 20% of the global workforce, and the most disrupted sectors that we see this happening is with transportation, logistics, tourism, the professional services, as well as household work, right? So maids, plumbers, electricians, and so on. Now in Malaysia, this is also very interesting because we see an upward trend with revenues, reaching 1.7 billion in 2019, but really concentrated in selected sectors. As you can see, the uptick happening at the end of 2018 and really ramping up in 2019. And obviously, stronger now during the COVID pandemic season, right? So Grab, Airbnb takes up the bulk of the revenues and all others, but you see the all others also picking up now. The potential industries that could adopt the gig and freelancer model here, and this is really quite interesting to look, is the wholesale and retail trade where, you have repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, right? So think about battery cool, think about, Lim Taya that's moving on into digital spaces, transportation and storage, and the names in this space as well, the likes of Lala Move, we're looking for people to join the fleet of riders, delivery, storage, accommodation, food and beverage service activities, you know who they are, the likes of Foodpanda, Grab, and many others, right? Deliveries. Professional, scientific, and technical services as well is something that is picking up, right? As much as administrative and support, as well as education. So there are very many opportunities in the gig and freelance economy, and it's not just what we usually think about, right? Which is the e-hailing or delivery services and many other areas throughout the world that are looking for people. So in Malaysia, we do see a momentum, yeah? So if we start with the box on the top left, you see a 6-time increase in the number of platforms offering many sort of services, right? You heard of Kaudim, you heard of many others out there, right? So if you look at 2016 to 2020, it's really been a bump up in terms of the work that's being offered. So if you look at the gray box right on top, you see the digital work such as graphic design, coding, and translation, right? That has shown an increase, from 7 to 22%. You look at digitally enabled tasks, which is food delivery, installation, maintenance, that has gone up by tremendous amount. And if you look at micro tasks, which are like content review, drop shipping, and referrals, which has taken a little bit of a maintenance, maintained its position. It's 128% CAGR in platform revenues, and that tells you how many people are coming on board, as well as the number of transactions that are going on in these platforms, right? There's a 24 times increase in the number of active workers earning an income here. And this is really mind-blowing if you think about it. Look at the rise in 2019 to 2020, and a 31 times increase in income earned by gig workers. This is already an economy right now on its own, yeah? So COVID-19 really over the last 19 months, 20 months has spurred the growth of some sharing economy platforms and also slowed down others, right? So sectors that are benefit includes really food delivery, as well as home chef services like Hey Ho and the rest. Logistic delivery services, Zepto, Lala Move, Dago, Mr. Speedy, all of them have seen a massive increase in people being onboarded into the platform and people using this platform. And if you think about it, personal helpers and caregivers, right? You're using things like GoGate, you're using things like GetRunner, you're using things like Bookossit to help you in your daily household chores. Many things that you need, even gardening, pet grooming, and the like, right? Part-time crew is really picking up, as well as ride and transportation, as we know this. We see a little bit of downturn, or a little bit of a slowdown in healthcare and lifestyle and wellness services, tourism, for obvious reasons, and repair, install, maintenance, and domestic services, really also because people are a little bit concerned with the vaccination, or the safety of having this outsiders in, right? But we see that, probably going to pick up, based on the rate of vaccinations for this so-called frontliners that are also helping the services industry. Digital and professional work, working from home has really catalyzed a lot of this. So as we see people choosing not to go into a formalized employment, being at home, taking care of the children or their mothers, their parents, a lot of them are moving on to these sort of platforms, to really, offer their professional services to companies, not just in Malaysia, but throughout the world, right? And so these are some of the areas that you can look at into moving into in the freelance and gig economy, either as a side hustle, part-time work, or even as full-time career, right? Because it gives you a lot more freedom in terms of taking care of other items of concern in the house, like children or parents and others, right? So the growth of the sharing and gig platforms by type of task in Malaysia, if you look at it, digitally enabled tasks has showed an increase. So as I said earlier on, logistics, food delivery, installation and maintenance has really showed an uptick. Digital work, really graphic design, coding and translation has maintained its interest from what they call that employment seekers. A digital micro task has also maintained. So really, where we see a huge increase is the digitally enabled tasks, right? And really, those are the ones really keeping the economy going, keeping goods moving. Delivery, maintenance, domestic services, and so on. We see that really picking up and offering jobs for the rakyat. The growth of the active gig workers. So if you think about jumpstarting your career in the informal economy, this is really interesting too, right? The findings is based on our data, right? The MDEC data from 2015 to November 2020. About 80% or more performing low to mid-level skills tasks, or 20% are becoming digital freelancers. More than 90% are Bumiputra, and 60% are between 18 to 30 years old, right? So the statistics that we have from DOSM, the Department of Statistics Malaysia, estimates that about 18% or 2.72 million are self-employed as of 2019, right? And this is really interesting because the number of active workers earning an income in 2020, you look at it, it's doubled up from 2019, with 635,000 people really moving into this particular sector. The impact of COVID-19 has really been on the huge influx of freelancers, right? Leading to intensified competition in certain areas, right? And this is interesting because if you look at the young professionals, you look at Puan Munira Malik from Kedah, she's earning a decent amount of money doing writing and translation for US and Australian markets. And if you look at our colleague, the young Umar from Sabah, earning some good money as well, social media and graphic designer, providing his services to the UK as well as Malaysia. So a lot of this income that's being generated comes in from the international market. So don't discount people from throughout the world, looking for the services that you have, right? And look at it, just look at it, right? You have a skill set, which is writing or translating, social media, graphic designing. These are professional services, that are really in demand from a globalized environment, right? So there's also a really a large number of freelancers registered into the global platforms in the popular fields, right? And that's really important because, when you think about it, we always think about, web, graphic designer, programmers, basically digital and IT, seem to have a lot of demand out there, But also, look into the pay that's been given. So pay in the most popular fields like web and graphic design are not always the highest, right? It may be slightly depressed because there are so many freelancers throughout the world offering pretty much the same sort of services, right? So the real opportunity out there for you guys in Malaysia really is to look at the less crowded fields as well, right? Where demand is high and the competition is less intense. So the potential for you Malaysians out here is to participate at scale in multimedia production, right? So things like video production, AR, VR, sound, animation. These are things that really has a big demand out there. Sales and marketing, right? How do you do sales and marketing, digital marketing? Looking at the sales funnel. If you have a skill set in there, there are people out there in the world looking for this sort of services. Administrative and customer support. So you've heard of the virtual secretary, right? Or the virtual personal assistant that is really catching on these days, right? And supporting the mobile CEOs, the startup CEOs, right? Customer support and content writing. Do not discount content writing, right? So across Mandarin, Bahasa, English, Tagalog, many Tamil, content writing and content marketing is a huge business to be had, right? So those are the areas that are less popular, but pay is a lot higher because there's less people in the market for that. So it's really something for you guys to consider, right? It's interesting for us to note there's this increasing number of gig workers with a tertiary qualification. So just as a quick example here, look at the Food Panda riders starting from the top at 12 o'clock, right? 3% with no qualifications. UPSR, 4%, PT3 or PMR, 11%, SPM, 35%. But really what's more important is look at the certificate diploma equivalent, right? 41% of the Food Panda riders have a certificate or diploma, right? Or equivalent, right? And this is really interesting because what it says is that a gig is not just for lower skills, right? But it's also for people who want to have, a side hustle or people who want to have more freedom to spend time with their children or to take care of their families and their parents, right? So there are very many, motivations, right? Why somebody would choose to be in this particular segment, even to the point of maybe taking a year off full-time formal employment to try something new or learn something new and have this gig economy to pay the bills, right? So mainstreaming freelance or gig economy in order to realize the potential as a new form of job for the right young is really important for us, right? So local businesses in realizing its benefit, really in terms of resource, operational and cost efficiencies, and also market expansion. So companies are looking at the gig economy or freelance economy, people like yourself, to see how they themselves can streamline their operations, right? So to think about it, we'll be working from home now for a good 1 year, right? What does that really mean? Do companies now need to have a physical office space? Do they need the desk, the table, the chairs, the air cons, and all of that? Do they need, all of the other trappings around having a canteen that is running? Or can they now turn, the way business is operated on its head, pivot towards a virtual work environment and use it and look at using more gig freelance workers for them to grow at scale? So you don't need actual physical headcounts, but you can leverage on this freelance, economy to really scale up, right? So for companies, this really provides a very interesting and a lot of value to how they can run their business, right? And also the concept and the model really resonates very well with the millennials. So we've heard about this, right? The millennials want a work-life balance. The millennials want purpose. They want, flexibility of working, right? They don't want to come to office and work 9 to 6. Most of them are saying, I can do even better. I can be more productive working at home, right? Or working off Starbucks. And really a lot of them also looking into, traveling or opening their minds up to do something new and trying different jobs within 1 year, right? And having their flexibility in their income opportunities. So this model really also works for the millennials, that you're looking to hire, and it resonates with a lot of companies, right? The third thing here is to develop a pool of digital economy and service-based entrepreneurs, right? We call it solopreneurs. So right now, if you're coming out and you've graduated, say, with plumbing skills, for example, right? And you're coming up from a graphic design from Multimedia University or Lim Kok Wing, School of Creative Arts or whatever, right? Instead of working again in a formalized environment, you can get onto these platforms. And if your particular skill set is at doing propaganda posters or, very specialized way of doing it, now you have an opportunity to do that, right? You become solopreneurs. And there are many, many platforms, out there for you to do that, to offer your skills, to do the matching, not only to Malaysian companies, bear that in mind, right? But for a globalized workforce, right? Globalized companies, right? The exporting of Malaysian services is also really something that makes a lot of sense for the Malaysian economy, both in the professional and high-value digital works, right? As freelancers and remote workers. Because we're charging in foreign currencies, we're based out of here. So if you think about it, you can work anywhere. And really, I mean that very seriously. You can go to Langkawi, you can go to the beaches, you can work off, in Fraser's Hill, for example, right? As long as you have connectivity, you have your skill sets, your computer is there, you can work and deliver those professional services and high-value digital services to people now around Malaysia and around the world. Okay. So here, the mainstreaming of the freelance and gig economy, the challenges that some of you may want to think about, there's low maturity of the local gig platforms, right? For most service segments, except for e-hailing, like your Grab, and the rest, right? So it is still relatively new, and they are expanding as they go along. But this is just a matter of time, right? Where more people are already realizing the importance of being flexible and delivering services in a remote environment, right? The policy barriers are, again, another thing. So there is an absence really of regulatory framework or perhaps a lack of clarity in the existing frameworks, right? So most of these platforms are not regulated. And that is something that the government is looking at. How do we provide some safety measures, safety features for the workers on these platforms, right? What is the arbitration issues, payment issues, privacy of data, privacy of IP that's been created, and the like, right? The low adoption by local businesses, especially perhaps the SMEs and GLCs, right? Most of the current demand is derived from the general household, people like you and I, who are looking to, get the services. But as more SMEs and GLCs come into it, because, I think the adoption rate is slower on that side, or maybe the mindset is I need to have my workers in my office so that I can monitor them, right? But more and more and more, as we see even workers not being too interested to go into this formalized work platform, like, going back to work, say, 50 people in a room or in a floor, you may not see workers wanting to come back to that environment. And that really will force a rethink from this SMEs or GLCs in how to work remotely or work from home, or to use freelancers to support their operations and growth. Yeah, addressing the social protection and the safety net benefits. For example, the medical benefits, the retirement plan, SOCSO payments, EPF payments, and all of this, I think, is also important. Yeah. As employers, I think there's a moral as well as a legal obligation to be looking at how do you take care of your workers. So it doesn't matter whether they are full-time workers or freelance workers, they're still doing a service or providing a product for you. So how do we stand up here and say, we also want to take care of these workers, right? Because a happy worker is a productive worker. Taxation and cross-border transaction issues are also important. So if you're selling your services and somebody buys it in Singapore or in the US, how do you pay your taxes, right? And how does that foreign jurisdiction or Malaysia look into the tax issues, right? So these are something that obviously has to be looked at. There are some areas or platforms that you may not have to do it right now, but it will eventually come, right? So from a freelancer perspective, The freelancers in professional or high value job, for example, writing, social media marketing, programmer, designers, or even being tutors, personal tutors, right? Not only for children, but college goers and so on. Really is where a lot of interest is at, right? If you look at the gig workers in digitally enabled tasks, which is, if I may say, requires a lower level of a skill set. Then it's e-hailing drivers, delivery riders, professional helpers, event crews. You see a lot more active gig workers in that space. So you see a lot of new platforms coming up, as the economy opens up. The event companies, local guides, they want people for a short term and very localized, right? Very hyper localized. If you're doing an event in Sarawak, you want to hire now people from Sarawak. Not necessarily bringing people from Malaysia, say Kuala Lumpur, flying into Sarawak, right? So now there are a lot of platforms that allows you to do things like that, right? So gig workers with a digital micro task, you're looking at data entry, sorting data, image, review data for your social media posts. You see that also picking up, but those are mostly part-time, mostly casual earners, right? But if you look up to the digitally enabled tasks, those are mostly full-time. Primary income is based, from that kind of work, right? And mostly as a necessity because they don't have any other jobs. And if you move up again to where I first started, those are also full-time and also mixed, right? So you can do it at night, depending on the geography that you're serving and so on, right? The challenges for all these workers are as follows. Financing facilities, right? So because you don't have a payslip or EPF statement or proof of income, then it's very hard for you to buy a house or buy a car or buy a motorbike, right? To get financing. So that's something that you may want to think about as you move into this economy, right? How do you put that into a bank account, bank statement, and if the bank's asking for proof of income, how do you showcase this, right? Secondly, is the retrieval of income derived from your overseas income sources, right? Especially for freelancers, it's important to keep a proper track of where your income sources are coming from, because even if you do your work and it's being bought by someone from outside of Malaysia, there's always an invoicing. So think about some of the free invoicing softwares that you can use, operational issues, which is managing authorities on legality of your activities, for example, doing MCO, for riders, or so on and so forth, right? If they're stopped at certain areas and you cannot cross borders, that's really important. Medical benefits, if you're moving to, again, freelance economy, you must think to put something aside for your medical benefits, yeah? So that's really critical that you take care of yourself, the well-being and health of yourself and your families, right? So please do think about putting some money aside to, the likes of Prokeso, EPF, you can self-contribute, or also, buy yourself insurance protection, right? As I put in the next point, social protection and retirement scheme. And don't forget on the income tax filing and payment, as long as you're earning an income, you must think about, what is your tax liability, right? So, but overall, I want to bring it to a close by saying the sharing economy really has impacted the lives of thousands of Malaysians, right? So for MDEC, our e-Rezeki and our GLOW program, which is the Global Online Workforce. You can always Google this up, go to MDEC website, and we have really helped many Malaysians, regardless of race, gender, location throughout Malaysia, as you can see from this slide. Please come and join us on the e-Rezeki and Global Online platform and see how best you can leverage these platforms. These platforms are meant for people like yourself, or get in touch with us at MDEC, yeah? The e-Rezeki and GLOW, platforms have provided really alternatives for the targeted community, which is really the underserved and the B40 community, to earn an income, to be more productive, right? So look at the numbers, the people trained, the people earning income and cumulative income earned. It's not something to sneeze at, right? So there's real money, real income opportunities, by jumpstarting your career in this informal economy. Right, both the programs that I talked about, the interesting insights here is that aside from earning the extra money, the income via e-Rezeki help with debt reduction. Think about it, 66% said so, right? And improve savings, right? So, doing multiple tasks can more than double the income earned per hour. 71% agreed e-Rezeki help with improve their well-being. 73% agreed e-Rezeki created more opportunities for the disadvantaged group. So on our part, policy improvements, we're also looking to see how to improve access to fixed broadband and computers. So, with the Jendela initiative that's being rolled out by the government under KKMM, Kementerian Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia, of which MDEC is also a part of. This is really important. So even under the Penjana schemes, that a lot of the telcos are also providing very, very good rates and packages for you guys to have access to broadband. I think that's really critical. Incentivize self-learning. This is really, really important. So if you go into MDEC right now, we've just launched the Let's Learn Digital. There are courses in there for digital marketing and social media and all that, which is free, right? Free for you guys to also learn and pick up new skills so that you can also move into the informal economy. And also we're thinking about, how to strengthen portable social protection for the digital platform workers, right? So we're talking to employers, we're talking to other platform providers to see how best they can also provide some social safety nets to all of you out there thinking to moving into this platform. So here are some of the real life cases, some benefits of people that have gone through this. So if you look at it, Encik Muhammad Halafiz, his income generated is 2005 to 2004. He's with Battery Cool. If you look at exporting professional services, which is, virtual assistant, writer, translator, Puan Rashikin has really done well for herself. Income generated in 2019 is 1.47 million. Yeah, these are actual numbers here. Replacement of lost income, Dr. Muhammad Shafiq, income generated 43,000 just in 2020. He was an IoT consultant before, he's retrenched, he's coming to these platforms. And if you look at Puan Rasma, who's 22, she's writer, she's writing technical articles, she's employed now on a full-time basis with Exxon on mobile, right? So again, lots of opportunities for all of you out there to think about, to utilize your skills, to get onto the platforms and offer that not to just Malaysian companies, but also to the global companies out there. And with that, thank you very much for this opportunity to share. And I hope that I have managed to give you, in this last 20 minutes or so, some ideas on how to jumpstart your career in this informal economy, and giving you some ideas as well into what are the skill sets that are required and some of the platforms that you can go into. So MDEC is always here to support you in your journey. Please go to mdec.my and reach out to us at any point of time, and we'll be very happy to assist you in your journey. Right? On that note, thank you very much, Professor, for having me here today, and best of luck and best wishes for this great event over the next 2 days. Thank you.